In this chapter of the second part in the book To Think Sociologically, it's about the body and how it is accepted or rejected in society and why there is a whole culture surrounding our bodies and how they function. And it's basically the sociological aspect of it. So we're not going to dig into the physical or the psychological one, but merely look at what is it that makes our bodies so interesting for society and for how we become part of society. So that's also a notion that our bodies actually has a kind of symbolic and cultural value in itself. As you remember from the last time, perhaps, that we had Pierre Bourdieu talking about these different kind of resources we had, and one of them is symbolic and cultural. And then we have the material, and the language is also a kind of resource. But then also the body comes as part of that cultural strength or resource we can use. And that is very much under attention, especially in modern times and in many places in the world, not everywhere. And so if you imagine that your life is different circles, where the small circles are the closest ones, they are the most common and gives you a sense of security and acceptance. It's like your family, close friend, your relatives, people you are very, very close to, where you are born, and so on. These are the small circles that you really know, familiar with, are accepted in, and gives you a great sense of security and acceptance. And then you have those circles that are far away from you and seems blurred in the horizon somehow. It's like you are not really aware of their edge and what happens out there. And they are, of course, the ones who could possibly be the most intriguing and you are most curious to figure out about. But at the same time, they are the circles that gives you the less security and safety that you want. So the first one is called our neighborhood, the inner circle, the home. And the second one is the global or outer world that is far away from us and something we have to discover. And sometimes these circles can intervene within each other and work in and out in your life. And especially in the modern times where the world has changed a lot, these small circles of certainty and security has been more and more blurred. So the outer world has really, and its fogs has really brought with it a lot of uncertainty also in the small circles. And some say, well, it's through the media or the way we read the news or watch the net or watch the series or how we accept the outside world. And that has affected our even smallest circles. Some can say it like that. Anyhow, whatever you think is the reason, it's the changes that really are the focus here. Sociology has been focusing, looking at what's happening. Why are these changes? And what happened to the old, secure, traditional, small families and connections and relations that were based on values, acceptance, trust, and love, and a kind of a share of a lot of things that you do not find today, even in the small circles, perhaps somewhere anymore. And so a lot of these new unknown elements becomes clear to us and close to us, and they come sometimes with such a rush and quickness that we do not really understand them, and that can be a lot. It can be suddenly you have a bunch of tourists moving into your neighborhood. They start buying houses or getting established. It could be some political, cultural issues that suddenly comes rushing in. It could be somebody who are part of your community who changes and brings the changes with them. It can be a lot of these things. So we are in a constant surveillance, as they say. That kind of surveillance, being aware all the time of the limits and where you are and where things are headed and what you can trust, has also changed our ways of interaction with each other. And so we have got this that Anthony Giddens, the famous sociologist, had called the confluenting kind of love and relation. It's kind of partnership that is more fluent. It's built on reciprocal attraction, satisfaction, and the need from one another. And when that disappears or lacks, there is no moral or ethic or any kind of commitment that is needed to uphold that relation. You can just step out of it or say, listen, we do not match anymore, or I've grown, we've grown apart, and so on and so on. And those big changes have affected even the small cycles and small core cycles in life that used to be much more stable. Like in the old days, you could have people travel far and wide and then come back and see their family was upheld as they were. Maybe something has happened, a tragedy or a kind of an affair the woman has had. We're not saying that people we're not talking about the angels of the past, because they have never existed. There's always been people who done something, like the sailor, who's a sailor, or the tradesman who's been away for so long. Who says that everyone was waiting for him for 2-3 years? But he could come back to the same home and expectations that we might not find today, even in the small circle where you don't have to travel far. So your partnership and those small circles are always put under trial. They are tested continuously, and it's like making you surveillance, and it can make you in a way always looking out for what's going to happen next and how to both protect yourself but achieve what you want. On the other side, this gives a lot of maneuverability, so you can maneuver in these issues more largely and get out of the small stringent circles that are around you and maybe suffocating you. And that's what some people has been yearning to. But anyhow, you can find that the price is high for either cases. Well, there is a price for that's total stability and surveillance around you that never shifts or moves, and that takes away possibilities and new openings and changes. On the other side, those openings can also have a very high price, openings to freedom, because you will lose your certainty of everything that's around you. And so we are affected by the small circles and the bigger circles and how they interact with each other. And usually we use the word family for that so-called institution that is the source for stability and security. That's the bridge between who you are and the thing that is unknown to you. That's the bridge between what is individual and the community. And you have also a kind of inheritance that goes on in these families and small entities. In the old days, it could be inheritance not only of money, but also of work and traits in your life and places you go. It all goes on same. And so the change in that small institution that has been very huge the last century and up till now has brought with it a big change also in the understanding of each other in those small circles. It's like they say the family is being dissolved. That small core that had held everything together and organized it and had its special ways of being is not really there anymore, because the individuals in it are not thinking the same way anymore, whether it's because of the greater circles that has affected them or because of their own changes as well inside it. So we are in a situation that is based on separation and a reintegration of the home in a new relation. New components are going put together. It's like in the old days, you could always count coming to a home where there is a father, a mother. If she's not dead, if she's dead, he will quickly find another. If he's dead, she will probably be finding another or be with her parents. And so you will find them, you'll find the kids, you'll find some helpers and the old people around. And today, maybe you can go to a home where the mother is from a totally another ethnic background than yours, and her kid is half breed of something else. And by the way, this kid is non-binary, sexually something else than male or female. And then on the male side, if it is a male, if it's not a female as well, you will find that male maybe having an affair on the side or opening up in that relation for some new values that weren't there before. And so you want to make sense of all this, and they are both working, or not, one of them is not working, and one has some work that isn't really appreciated, or something that may be part of something suspicious and conspicuous and all that. And so it's very, very difficult to see. And sometimes you can find somebody with highly trained abilities hooking up with someone who is totally different in values and orientation. And then you can see, well, this is also a strange mix, maybe. And so the strangest differences can make a big change, it seems, for us, at least how we look at it. And so putting that together needs a new way of communication. And so Giddens have been called the contract family. We're living in societies where everybody has an agreement with everybody else on the basis interest for his or her own betterment. And so everybody is there because of a reason, not because they by nature belong together. So this is the first thing they're talking about here regarding ourselves as body, our body and who we belong to. We belong to a circle of a core that has changed a lot from before until now. Then there's the other side, and that if we look at ourselves, we have part of us in the body that also seeks satisfaction. It is our temple in life. And so this fulfillment of the body, or the signals that the body is sending out in the world, can also be met by a kind of social pressure or acceptance, depending on what body you have and how you face the world with it, and what kind of training you have been given it, or how you are equipped from nature by the genes of you to be looking good or not looking good, or how people actually reflect your looking. It doesn't need to be you who are looking good or not. It's maybe the standards that has been put out there, as we've mentioned in earlier chapters, when you see that those influencers and people with power are empowering a certain type of people to make the trends go in a certain way. And then everybody is looking to that or this trend, and maybe neglecting some other important things in humans that's not visible in that which is promoted. And so everybody who doesn't fit in that picture becomes like an outsider or can be stigmatized. And this is what also is one part of what the book is trying to encircle here, that we have reached a stage where our body has become a duty to do something with, according to the picture of fitness. And if you want to be recognized and you want to be a successful person in society, many places, you will need to have a body that has been undergoing a very strong picture of training and fitness. This is what's called the fitness. You have to be fit and show that your body can take the world and take what's in it. And of course, we all know, like this is in parentheses, like we all know that many people who looks good and have strong bodies doesn't necessarily have the same psychological traits, and they can break down under the first sign of crisis. It's not always related that these people who are good looking are also the strongest, but this is how we many times have gotten to picture it. And that's what we need to be understanding here, that the society has like influenced us in a certain way because of the traits in it and the trends. And it's not all societies around the world. There are still places in Earth where people can be accepted for other values, or maybe more accepted for other values in them than just the looks or just the fitness of the body. But there's nothing wrong with the fitness of the body. We need it, and the body must be in a trained and strong form. That seems very, very natural. The trouble is just, well, we are in big risk here and big uncertainty around that world outside that has this special look around us. And so how much should we give time to care for our bodies, and how much is it acceptable to neglect it, and what kind of signals are we sending then? And so we can easily get hurt, in our feelings, and getting rejected, or maybe even not getting the job we wanted because we just don't have the looks for it. And many times we can see people who are getting somewhere, especially in these days, have the looks for it. And this is not the book who's saying that it's in these days, but this is my observation. But the book is just saying that sometimes the body can have an important access point to bring you where you want to go, because this is the most important and most lasting part of you in life. It is that temple, that body that is hosting yourself and hosting your spirit, if you believe in a spirit, as I do. And so you have the body as the outer layer of who you are, with the energy fields around it. But that body is the important part of your social interaction, and that's why it becomes under focus on how do you live, what kind of lifestyle are you having, what are you doing for your body, how do you seem you are using your time, do you eat too much, do you look fat, are you very slim, do you have anorexia, are you do you seem to be in trouble and not really relaxed. So how is your body sending all the signals on how you live? What about your clothing? Are they sending the same signals? So what you eat is what you become, and what you wear shows who you are. And then the body becomes the most important, what can you say, symbolic resource that you send out there to show who you are or what kind of life you are going through, and whether that's accepted or not. You can easily be yourself in another place and people will think you are a god, or you're a handsome man or woman, because they will look at other qualities in you than just how tall or broad or slim or something you are. But in certain societies, when the overfocus is on a certain type of bodies, well, it all says itself who will get to the posts and who will not. And whatever happens to society from then, well, because we all know, and we know it just by instinct and by common sense, that the people who are the most handsome and good looking are not always those who are fit and qualified for the jobs. But if they can get themselves through to that, well, I don't know which direction we're going to be headed. And we also know from psychology there is this woman who has a very beautiful channel on it's called Common Ego, I guess, where she talks a lot about narcissists and psychopathy and those traits, and she finds them a lot in her life. She found them a lot in people who are good looking and who have this fitness, and they maybe became so occupied. Now we're going into psychology, that's not the meaning, but just to say a notion in parentheses that we seem to be in a place where we are going in a direction we maybe shouldn't. And we should get these balances back. So next time I want to see a Pepsi advertisement, I would like to see a small, maybe not fat, but a small, a chubby woman drinking it, or a bit gray-haired old man who's in a wheelchair or something. So we can get nuanced a picture of that handicapped people has also kind of value, and people who do not fit in that description of the perfect soldier or the perfect model are also valuable to society by some other things they have. And I can tell you personally, it can give a lot of trouble out there, and especially if you are outside these categories. So when they in this book say that you can be subject to stigmatization, I can put my thumb on that, I can tell you that. But anyhow, the importance of the body also reflects on how we are met out there in the society. And so this is the other part of it. It's how society is being readied to meet you, the interactions you're having out there. How are they readied, and how did people actually get these thoughts? Where did they come from in the first place? Is it the school? Is it the TV series, the shows? And so they mention an example here. They say it's not easy to understand how, and not surprising, that the most popular TV series and movies are about people who are fit in their bodies and how they became that. And the other part is what good food, fat and nice and delicious food you can cook and make. So these two type of trends, at least at the time when the book was written, but I will guess it's still the same, that they have a kind of taking you in two different directions, but they are both appealing. And so they find that it is sometimes a contradictory point for us in life that we don't know in which direction we really should go. We want to follow the slim, good body, but we also want to enjoy life by eating extra cookies and having extra delicious meals and just relaxing after food instead of going out to run those 5 kilometers to or miles, as we would say in English, to that will be around 7 miles or something, instead of just sitting back home relaxing after the dinner. And so whatever you want, you're going through your body to get it, of course also through your mind, but basically this, with this focus on the body in this chapter, it's saying that, well, that is what is like under the look. And so the body is the tool to get what you want of experiences in life and to enjoy them, and to enjoy entertainment, excitement, and all the nice things that you want to live in life. And sometimes they find that the body is not only going for satisfaction, but just the lust for satisfaction. Like when you are thinking of finding the beautiful woman who will look back at you and see the beauty in you, and you go to the fitness, having her in your mind, this is in itself, the lust for that satisfaction that will come out of that has become sometimes the goal in itself, it seems. This is, of course, something they are saying with uncertainty because they are not showing any studies about it, but they say, well, it's obvious that you go and get the best shoes, clothings, you put the gel on the hair so it doesn't become upset, and you get everything right about yourself, and then hope that what you are really out to achieve, that is the connection or the relation or the social contact that you are wanting out of this, the job, being part of that special society, being invited in the club, as they say, well, that you hope to achieve it, and it's in itself it will give you a kind of satisfaction. And so those sensely goods and wantings that you have with you, they come from the inside somewhere, but they are made possible through your contact with the outside. So you have to look back, as they say here, that you have to look into yourself. What is it I really want? And is this a good price to pay? Am I paying too high a price? Or should I go in a different direction? And so to continue the talk about the body and the wantings of the body and the lust for achievement, they quote here Maurice Ponty, the philosopher from France, saying that the body must become identical with your thought or intention. And so the body is the one that points, the one that speaks. It will become the fundament for everything that's visible for people and are able to judge you accordingly. So it's like the body is the wrap on your inner life, that beauty and elegance and charm that you really want to achieve, and that goes out of that package and the wrap that you have around you. And so that's why the body's expression, it's called the body's expression, is the message that you are sending of what you are wanting and what you are really seeking and who you are on the inside. That's how you become identical with your body in many, many ways. And so back to the point of start, the body is like the drawing table, the access point, and the place where you have to go through in your interactions with society to find what you want and to get that cultural and symbolic and material resource that you are yearning for. And some have already got it, as we say, from nature or from culture and from inheritance. So some people have already got many measures of these, and others, they are very depraved of it. And that's why the look on handicaps can be very much, even though it can be hidden inside some people, not saying it, but sometimes it's outspoken, that they have a defect from the beginning. They are not fit to live in society and they will never make it. And that's why when we see in our times today that these handicaps have formed unions for sport and winning gold medals or going into great activities, creative ones as well, you will see that they can fulfill themselves even though they have this physical retardation, and they have maybe some mental retardation. And so this is breaking all the norms and understandings of, well, if you are not totally fit and your body is the perfect one, you're not fit to have a good sexual life, not get the best partner, and maybe not invited in the club at all, because who is this person? Well, and so there is also a cultural power side in this. They mention in the book that your body and the signals it sends becomes a tool of power. And people who have the power can also adjust that picture and the definition of what is accepted and not. Like in the old days, if you were of another ethnic group, you will have the trouble of getting into society. And if you were in a certain shape or clothing, you would not come in certain circles. And so the same happened between the sexes, which we will end the chapter with, about the struggle between the male and female. And the connection between these two is a very, very big and important side of life that's many times overseen and not talked about. But so your body becomes the picture and your access point, and that access point can be defined by those who have the power to do so or want things to go in a certain way or trend. And so when we get these handicap unions and we get people with lower body perfections doing stuff that people didn't imagine or think they would or be able to do, they are manifesting themselves beyond these borders of the conventional acceptance and look on the body as the perfect mirror of the soul and so on. And so it seems like there is an interrelation, and that can be broken because it is not only by nature but by culture how the body is being viewed on. And this is an important fact in sociology, that it's not only a biological thing but also a cultural thing, and maybe many times it's a more a cultural thing than a biological thing, as they speak of when we come to how to achieve our lust and our inner wantings, like relating to somebody else. And they mention a very beautiful story here that's both related to the achievement of the body and the sexes, male and female, from Queen Elizabeth I. They mention actually the movie, and I like when somebody mentioned the movies because I'm a total movie fan in my life, and I see some, like 10% of all movies that are made have really great and deep messages. It's like really watching an odyssey of some kind of long journey and travel and beautiful dialogues and so on. But in this movie of Elizabeth I, as they mention in this book of sociology, they say that, well, she kept being rejected because she had to fulfill the place of her father, Henry VIII, who was a great and bit self-indulged king. Not a bit, maybe a lot, as they say in history. And so here comes his little daughter, who were first pushed aside by her Catholic sister and then takes over. And then these people at the court cannot really accept her. They want a male, first and foremost. And secondly, they think that, well, this woman is just to get into bed with some beautiful man. Let's find her a beautiful man and get her out of the way and let the council rule. But then she proves herself by undergoing a great metamorphosis, as they say. It's a kind of development and change that overtakes you totally. And this is when she comes in, had cut her hair short and a lot of makeup, white, pale makeup, and no smile, and looking very more death-like than alive, and much more neutral. It's like sex neutral in many ways. And we do not see whether she's changed from the inside as well, or she's still the same old girl yearning for love and beauty and that kind of impulsive behavior that she had. But we can see from the outside that she had another expression, and that expression made the whole change, because everybody laid down and accepted her and saw, well, this is a strong and powerful signal she's sending us here, and now we believe and trust that she can do it. So sometimes changing your appearance can give a lot of affection and can give a lot of effect in the situations you want to go to, or maybe adjust your appearance to fit in. We know that from several movies where they use a lot of identity exchanges and persona overtaking, where the person who want to cheat himself, catch me if you can, or some of these other movies, I forgot the names. Well, it's like they go and fit in where they are needed. We know it from Sherlock Holmes and his many disguises. And so you go and try to disguise yourself, fitting in where people can see you exactly as you want them to see you. And this is part of what we also can do. And so finally, very shortly, they come around the idea and the trouble of the sexes, and that it has been a male-dominated idea. It's an idea from Mary Astle in 1694 all the way back, and maybe I think this is the same lady that inspired some of the things I can't remember, but from 1694, a serious proposal to the ladies. She said that the differences between the sexes is not only an imagination of nature, but also the power that man has to define that nature in another way. I was going to say that she inspired some of the ladies that were in the circus of the French Huff and Empire around the time where we had the Enlightenment, people running around in the circus around Voltaire. And I would really recommend the series by Wesley Cecil on the old thinkers, philosophers, on Voltaire and the lady circus around them at that time. I'm not sure if she's mentioned directly, but it seems very likely that she has been a kind of inspiration as well. And so the biological changes, the biological differences are the reason for sociological inequalities, but it's also the cultural definitions that makes the sociological inequalities appear more and more. And here we are in a big fight still as well, because you have an old, we call it old, but we have a different view fixated out there that, well, there is a kind of given nature, and if you speak about nature, you cannot go wrong, because there is a male and a female, and they have different traits and conditions, and so they must be different also in work-related tasks and in the way they handle society and they handle the interactions. And so this is what this view is taking into account. But in that view, it's also giving the males the power, or maybe, what can you say, sharing the power between the sexes, depending on the culture again. And sometimes giving the woman the stronger power. In old days it was called behind the lines. It was the woman who ruled it. Every strong man every great man has a strong woman behind him. So this picture came to be like the way it was. And then we got this sexual revolution as well in the modern times, which are not modern at all, because it has already been happening in the old days, but we forgot about them in the Greek and Roman areas where the women were empowered and got another role in society. So we are trying to also break free of this old picture and say, well, if we want the woman to do what we want, as John Stuart Mill said in his talk about on women's emancipation, we have to let them learn what we know. They must be able to do the same things we can in order to give them the chance to compete. Otherwise, it's easy to say to a woman, well, look at you can't even sit on a bicycle. Well, she hasn't been trained, while that boy has been running out all day, running and trying the bicycle and falling 100 times, while she has been in the kitchen sewing or cooking or doing other stuff. And so if she gets the same training, she will get the same opportunities and possibilities. And that fight or collaboration between the sexes have taken different forms according to the cultures we're in and the people affecting and influencing those cultures. What becomes important is what we give importance to. And so that's why we still have this kind of struggle between the sexes and domination of the male sexes for about 2,000 years or more is maybe a kind of trying to make it up from the woman's side to get back into society and get to higher posts and deliver good messages. And then we have the whole trait of feminism and some extreme measures of reaction to the male societies, and sometimes things seem to be a failed project, because when every woman has left her borders and her place where she should have been according to the old view. Well, who is left back to take care of things? And we get the institutionalized society where kids are being cared for by surrogates and not their own biological moms. And how does that affect them? And how does the motherless society develop? And in which ways? And what kind of products? What kind of individuals? What kind of people do we then get in that culture? And this is an ongoing search field for sociology and for psychology and anthropology and so on to look into these things. And if they're honest, they will have to look into it with the bitter results of each kind of culture and so reflect them so we can adjust politically. Otherwise, we're just confirming a political view we really want. If you are from a conservative traditional layer, you want the results to fit with what you want to see and what you think. So it's again the Sherlock Holmes, let the facts develop your theory, not the theory make the facts fit the theory that you already have. And so on the other side, if you are a feminist studying or ruling universities, you want most of what your findings and your students' findings to go in that direction that confirms that things are well and perfect and the ideal society is the break free of every bondage and rule and go fight the men over everything and so on and so on. So we have this very big struggle in societies of today over the sexes. And then today we have a very certain special issue the last maybe 50 years, 60 years about the third sex. Those who feel feminine but are born males, and those who are born females but feel masculine inside. And that's because we have a psyche that can be feminine and masculine inside us, while our bodies are by nature being given a female or a male expression. And so that can sometimes give a contradiction inside the psyche of each of these persons. And that's why when society opened up to this experiment and gave way for it, some of these people who had been many times expressing, I've been like locked into the body of a female while I have been feeling like a male all the time. We know it from also all traditional societies where this big and strong female are gonna listen to that thin and slim male who is very, very fragile, but she has to follow a rule, and she couldn't like be the one who dominated because her sex is the sex of the woman. And the opposite is also something that has been expressed, that many males have been feeling that, well, they seem so interested in women's ways and identities that they shift and they want to be the females, but if society allows it, they will do it. If not, they will maybe do it in secret or keep it to themselves and maybe not go through with it. And so what is the best and how will that affect the other kind of society? Will this stay in a small circle of those who need it, or will it start affecting even the more normal trends among males? And so you can talk about the sex in society and what you call pornography and what you call the men's and women's choice of way of life. All that has an effect, and it has been studied. And so sometimes the studies shows things, and other times shows, well, it maybe it was a failed project, or maybe it didn't work well, or where are we headed? And so to take out that discussion is the most dangerous things you can do in society, because you need to always continuously be interpreting and reinterpreting what you are allowing in those circles and in those societies. So when you get a voice from a university or a professor or somebody who says, listen, people, this has gone this and this way, and results shows disasters of suicide and pills and drugs and trouble with identity and upholding life and jobs and reality, then there is something to be looked into. You cannot just shut up these voices and say, oh no, that's because you hate the third gender and you're gonna like feed us all the negative sides. At the opposite side, these people who seems against that project must continuously be listening to those persons and people who have really found themselves through these processes of change, because the culture and society has allowed it somehow, and they are going on having, not saying perfectly good lives, but somehow normal lives. And then there is the effect overall on the society at whole and the civilization. Can a civilization uphold itself on the long run with all these inner dynamics and confusions and you can call them diversities? Is that possible? How has history reacted? How has society been working things out? Is there something between culture and nature we have to figure out? And that's what the big voices of philosophy and sociology, sometimes and psychology, are trying to tell us. And the problem is we are in a time of democracy, so we can choose and pick and go this way or that way and get affected by the influences and people on TV and the shows and whoever holds the microphone for the longest and brings the voices forward that we are wanted to see and not what is necessary to see. And so we have also this gap behind all this about the body, that who is controlling how we look at the body, how we look at the sexes, and how we look on what's in and what's out.